Hi guys, so I am back to do the second part of my fertility and fertility story. I believe I left off the last video with saying that my husband and I, Kayon and I had we had signed up to do an information session with the Department of Children and Family Services. So that was the last few months of 2020. We had signed up for the information session. Well, we were trying to sign up for the information session, and it was really difficult. I'm pretty sure that was because of the person we were working with, not necessarily the agency itself. So we were finally able to sign up for the information session, and the link was sent to us and it was wrong. So for like 30 minutes before the session was supposed to start, I was trying to get the right link. I had emailed them and I was trying to get someone to send me the right link. By the time they sent it to me, we missed the roll call. And if you miss roll call, then you basically are not counted as present for the information session. So we didn't end up doing the information session. And if you don't do the information session within X amount of months, I believe it was 3 months, I believe, of doing the inquiry form, then your case would be sent over to a caseworker or social worker instead of working with just the person that does the scheduling. So because working with the scheduler had been so difficult, I decided to go ahead and just let my case be sent over to the social worker that I was gonna be working with, and I would just pick it up from there. So we had a trip planned for the end of, like mid to end of December. And when I got back from that trip, I had a appointment scheduled with the new OBGYN. This would have been my first time meeting him. Once I moved back to Georgia, I had taken a while before I saw a doctor because I just saw my doctor before I moved, so it wasn't really necessary. So I had an appointment scheduled with him. That was January, around the middle of January, maybe the 12th, 13th, in that area. So I had an appointment scheduled with him. I was getting ready for the appointment, and I had found a random pregnancy test, and I decided to take it because I don't know why. I assumed it was the last one that I had, and I was gonna be discussing getting on birth control, some form of birth control with the doctor, because again, we weren't trying to conceive anymore. So I took the pregnancy test and it was positive. Now, I didn't know if it was accurate because I didn't even know how long I had that test. So I was like, okay, I'll talk to the doctor about it when I get there. Of course, I was excited, but trying not to be excited. I had stopped at the store and grabbed another pregnancy test on the way to the doctor's office. So I got there, I told him, that I had gotten a positive pregnancy test, and he said, okay, they would test it and they would test my urine. And he said that he asked me like when my last cycle was. So I told him, although the last cycle was a little off, I didn't even know if it was a real cycle, but he said, okay, well, we're gonna go with that date for now. So that date would have if that date was correct, if that was an actual cycle, that would have put me at about 3 weeks and 3 days pregnant at the time that I was seeing the doctor. So they did the urine test and they showed it to me. I asked them if I could see it. They showed it to me right away. Like, she dipped the urine and then literally showed it to me right then. And it was negative. Of course, it was gonna be negative though. We'll discuss that later. So they said, okay, well, it's negative, but we're gonna do blood work. He said it would possibly take up to about a week to get the blood work back, which I thought was abnormal. I had never had an experience with any of my other doctors during any of my other pregnancies where my HCG levels took took a week to come back, but it's a new doctor. I've never been to this hospital, so I was like, okay, fine. So he did my blood work. I believe it was the 13th of January. And I asked if he was gonna test my progesterone as well. He said he would test it on the second blood draw. That was fine. Not really, I wanted him to test it on the first blood draw, but I wasn't gonna make a fuss about this right now. So they tested my blood. My HCG levels came back about 5 days later. My levels were 19. So he told me he wanted me to go back and get it tested again. So I did. I went to a different hospital this time, a different Wellstar this time, and my results were back the next morning, and they were 894. And he did not send in the order for my progesterone to be tested. So also when he tested we'll get into that later. Okay, so my levels on the second blood draw were 894. He didn't test my progesterone. So he then, they emailed me, they said, okay, this was your levels, and he wanted me to go back and get a third blood draw, and they also scheduled me an appointment to come and do an ultrasound. So the third blood draw, my progesterone levels, I don't remember what my progesterone levels were, but they were good. I believe they were 18, I believe. And my HCG levels were in the 2000s. I don't remember exactly, but in the 2000s. So they scheduled me for an ultrasound, and when I did the ultrasound, I believe I would have been 5 weeks and 4 days or 5 days. I'll put a picture in here of the ultrasound. So they were able to see the yolk sac, and that's all they were able to see. They weren't really able to see anything else, which they said was normal for where I would have been considered. So he scheduled me to come back in 2 weeks. I went back, and they were able to see the yolk sac, the gestational sac, I believe. I'll put it in a picture in. And they were also able to hear the heartbeat. The heartbeat was 154. So at that point, I decided to switch doctors. I can talk about that in another video, on why I decided that doctor wasn't gonna work out. But I started seeing another doctor, and I'm still with that same doctor, and things have been really good. So since I've been working with her, things have just been pretty normal. Nothing special. The first appointment, I was considered high risk because I had already had 3 other pregnancies that all ended in some form of loss. So they did recommend me to see a specialist as well. So I've been seeing my regular OBGYN, and then I've been seeing a specialist as well. So I think that's about all on how I found out I was pregnant. So I'm gonna leave that here, and I will come back, and I can tell you guys why I ended up switching doctors, and probably maybe the first trimester symptoms, and just how that all went. And I'll put in some pictures and possibly video in the next video that I post. Okay, thanks guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day.